Oh, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Carbonaro. We got something real special for you today. Now, try not to freak out, ladies, but I'm about to show you my beef. My God, would you just look at it? This thing's the size of my hand. It's 3 fingers thick. It's 3.5 pounds. It's beautiful. Now, to appropriately cook such a beautiful piece of meat, it's going to take some time, so I need you to be patient with today's episode, okay? Alright, with a cut of beef as beautiful as this, you're going to want to season it liberally. I'm going to start off with a little bit of garlic powder here. You really want to get that covered. Alright, next up we got some coarse salt. Sprinkle that over the top. We're going to flip it over, we're going to do that again. Alright, then you're going to do the same thing one last time with pepper. But what you're going to notice is you got to season the sides of this thing too, all the way around. Don't leave anything unseasoned. Alright, so we're going to let that sit for like a half hour so that all those good spices can get absorbed into the meat. So in the meantime, let me introduce my celebrity guest today. We're drinking whiskey. Alright, so while you're waiting for that, it's very important that you get your grill preheated. So we're going to be using charcoal today, which means I get to play with fire. Alright, so it's looking a little bit like the depths of hell in there, which means the coals are ready to go. Alright, so we're going to set this thing up today with 2 zones for the heat. We want a really hot side where the steak is going to sear, and then a cooler side on this rack here where it's going to sit and it's going to cook for a while. So we're going to take those coals and we're going to dump them all out on one side of the grill. Alright, we're going to drop those grill tops on. We're going to close this up and we're just going to let it get nice and hot. We want to look at like 600 degrees on the hot side. Alright, so right now this thing is hotter than my high school prom date, and that meat's ready to go on the grill. Here we go. Oh, that's nice. We're going to press it down. We want good contact on all sides. And we're going to cover that and let it sit for about 2 minutes. While that's doing its thing, let me show you something that is so important to every cook's kitchen. What you're looking at back here is a little garden we built. We got some tomatoes, there's some peppers growing. Most importantly for today though, we've got rosemary and we've got thyme. Alright, and at the end of that 2 minutes, you're just going to grab by the handle there and give it a little turn. Let it sit, another 2 minutes. Alright, so one side done, we're going to turn it over. And we're just going to repeat those 2 steps. Look at those beautiful grill marks. Alright, so the brown of the meat is something that is so important to do. It's called the Maillard reaction. It takes a little bit, but that's where all the flavor comes from in the beef. And if you don't do this step right, if you don't get the grill hot enough, if you start it too early, you're going to have nothing but a hunk of shit. Alright, so we're going to remove that steak from the heat for a second. We got this tray here. We got 1 head of garlic, a stick of butter, that rosemary, and the thyme from earlier. We're going to put that on the grill. Alright, then we're going to set this other tray on top of that, give it a little bit of space. We're going to put our steak back on there, close it up, and we're just going to wait till that butter melts. And I almost forgot, but it's very important that you don't. We're going to put some olive oil in that tray as well with the butter and everything. What's happening now is the outside of that is nice and brown. It's going to have a lot of flavor. It's going to be delicious. But we also need the steak to cook the whole way through. So we're going to remove it from the direct heat, put it on top of that rack, and give it a chance to cook the whole way through. All right, now that that's all nice and melted, we're just going to baste the steak. Just going to brush it nice and light. All right, we're also at this point going to take a meat thermometer. We're going to get it right up in there. And we're looking for 125 degrees. We don't got to worry about time for this thing. We're worried about temperature. Alright, so the temperature's creeping right up, and we're just going to keep on basting. Just keep it nice and moist as we go. And gentlemen, I'm sure you can relate. You want to keep an eye on your bone. As long as it stays nice like this, you don't got to worry about it. But if it starts to burn, you want to wrap it in a little bit of foil to protect it. Alright, so as you can tell by the water on my glasses, it's starting to rain here. And there's really only one thing that you could do at this point. Rain, rain, go away. Come back in like 45 minutes. I'm almost done. Alright, we made it, 125 degrees. So what you're going to want to do now, let it sit. It's going to rest for about 10 minutes. You want it to stop cooking so that all that juice gets reabsorbed and it's not dry. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to cut it away from the bone. It's been sitting for about 10 minutes. Alright, moment of truth. It's beautiful. Perfect. Best way to serve this is to cut it into manageable sized pieces and enjoy.